Thank you. So we call this Yamhill City Council meeting to order Wednesday, January 14th, 2026 at 6:33 p.m. We will stand for a flag salute. Oh, we're gonna do a roll call. We're supposed to do roll call first. I'm sorry.
Featherston here. Kent here. You're in here.
Oregon here.
Yeah.
Flag. Gonna keep it in order for it to go through. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Play ball.
So we are moving on to public comment. Yamhill encourages all citizens to comment on any city business. This is not a dialogue platform. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. If you need special accommodation for additional time in the future, please contact City Hall in advance. Robert Davis, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm going to repeat what I said last month so that everybody understands where YNA and myself is coming from. I live at 212 North Maple Street. After reading Walt Wendelowski's staff report dated January 7th regarding the lighting, I would like the council and the mayor to remember.
I need to interrupt very briefly. So this public comment would not work well for a land use hearing, which is what this would be. There will be time for public comment and testimony on the lighting ordinance during that hearing.
Oh, okay.
Is that acceptable, Bob?
That's wonderful.
We have a time for you there.
Thank you.
Nothing else in this period?
Nope.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
I also have Pam Kirsch not checked to speak. Would you like to speak? And Mr. Clausen, thank you for coming tonight. Did you like to speak tonight, sir?
I was just kind of wondering what this lighting ordinance was. Was it a change or is there a new ordinance or?
So it's, I will tell you, I'll give you the brief synopsis. It's something that council and the planning commission have been working on for the better part of 2 years. And it has gone back and forth multiple times. We do have a public hearing during this meeting that's coming up just very shortly, where we actually have a staff report from our city planner who should go over all of the details. And there is actually a period of time for public comment at that point if there was any confusion.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. I seen it said that it was commercial.
Yes,
I was
sir.
trying to figure out what they were meaning by commercial, because I have a neighbor that's complaining about a light they have.
On a residence?
On a residence. So I was just curious whether this had something to do with that or not, so I thought I'd.
This would not affect any residents.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes. Okay, so would anybody else like to be part of public comment? No? With that, we'll move along to agenda updates or additions. Our city recorder.
Yeah, I just have one correction on the agenda. We'll call it a typo. I listed, 2 resolutions on there, both with the same resolution number. So the first resolution, hold on. We'll find the right paperwork that I'm working with. Listed under department reports, financial manager report. Will be R 2025-845 rather than 846. And then under council reports, we have Councilor Askey and a report about a beaver.
This is true.
Oh,
I potentially do. You have one of my copies of the scripts. Oh, okay, cool. All right, well, so with those updates, we can move along to the consent agenda. Council, did you have a chance to review the council meeting minutes for, I guess it's 12:10 and 12:23?
Yes.
Fantastic. Can we get a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the council minutes for the month of December.
I second the motion.
We have a vote, please.
Featherston, aye.
And I.
Husky, aye.
Karen, aye.
Corrigan, aye. Moving on to, this is the coolest thing that we're doing tonight right here, is the oath of office for our full-time police officer, Chris Livingston.
If you want to raise your hand and repeat after me. I state your name, swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
I, Chris Livingston, faithfully swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America.
and the state of Oregon and the charter, ordinances, and resolutions of the city of Yam Hill.
Okay. And the state of Oregon and the charter, ordinances, and resolution of the city of Yamhill. And I will perform the duties of police officer for the city of Yamhill to the best of my ability, so long as I may continue in that capacity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Getting the band back together.
Much better with the badge.
Very happy, thank you.
I am as well. Thank you.
Thanks for your family for sharing it. All right, so this is the part that we have some interest in tonight. So we have, moving on to ordinance hearing. So it's draft ordinance 24-03 is an ordinance amending Yamhill Municipal Code, creating section 10.66 exterior lighting standards and amending chapter 10.08 definitions. Give me 2 seconds here. So here in disclosure statement, the criteria which must be satisfied for approval of this action will be presented to us during the staff report. Speaking of staff reports, we do have Mr. Wendelowski on. Thank you for coming tonight. Public testimony must be directed to those criteria or other criteria in the proposed ordinance, which the testifier believes to apply to the decision. If you are testifying, please state your name and city of residence. If you would like to be notified of a continuance, appeal, or other action in this ordinance, please print your name and complete mailing address and get it to our city recorder. If any member of council has a personal bias or a conflict of interest, they shall declare that now. Seeing none, we will now ask that Walt Wendelowski give us his staff report.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and also congratulations to Christopher Livingston. I think that's fantastic. Tonight, we're looking at Planning File DCA 2403, and it's a Development Code Amendment for exterior lighting. As the Mayor noted earlier, we've gone through this over a couple of years, going back and forth. The latest iteration is that the Planning Commission looked at this during their October meeting. Additional recommendations for changes were provided by the council, and the Planning Commission made a looked at the material at their next public hearing on November 17th. So what you see before you is the result of the Planning Commission review of all the City Council concerns. Now, this action will amend the Yamhill Municipal Code Title 10, which is our land use document. It will create a new chapter, 1066, exterior lighting. Basically, the language looks at creating new standards for lighting within the city, but only applies to commercial buildings and public properties. It does not apply to residential development. And I just want to make that clear up front. It's just for commercial and public uses. This was reviewed by DLCD. I have never heard any comment or squeak from DLCD on these changes, so there should be no issue with the state agency. Attached to the report is an exhibit which goes through the entire document. I will summarize the material for you and obviously be available to answer any questions. This document begins with a purpose statement. It just lays out the regulations are designed to reduce things like glare and light transmission that sometimes affect living. It makes it clear this is for commercial and public property only. The second item are guiding principles. This sort of backs up the purpose statement and lists the reasons behind this particular document. I want to stress these are not criteria, but provide a basis for why the city chooses to adopt these standards. The third item is definitions. This is everything related to this document will be found in the definitions, specifically unique to lighting. One of the big changes was finally selecting a time when these would be implemented, and that's under definitions for implementation, and that's within 6 months of the date of final adoption. The item number 4 is applicability. And again, this emphasizes commercial activities in publicly owned buildings and facilities. This material does not apply to street lighting. So that was one of the concerns with the city council. Item E, general requirements. Basically, the rules are set up to avoid glare and light trespass. And so the whole idea is to keep lighting on the property without impacting your neighbors. And let me just go through a couple of items here. Requirements include being fully shielded. There's maximum brightness level. There's requirements for canopies and eaves that the lighting has to be underneath the canopy, cannot be along the edge of the canopy. Exterior displays also have limitations on lighting, again, not to provide glare or light trespass on adjacent properties. Parking lot lighting, again, there are limitations to make sure all the lighting stays on the property. There's also a lighting curfew that a business is, once the business is closed, the lights are turned off, so to speak. However, this does not prohibit the use of security lights. So in other words, we want to make that distinction. There is provisions for security lighting. Also, there is a color temperature grade. It has to do with it addresses things like glare. And again, the final item is that publicly owned property must comply with these regulations. However, this section excludes local public streets. Going on, there's a requirement on signage, allows direct or indirect lighting. Again, the issue is not to impact the neighbor. There are prohibitions on lighting. For example, lasers, blinking, flashing lights. There is another one, searchlights, upward pointing lights. We want just to keep everything as, again, down on the ground. There are exemptions to these regulations. first of all, decorative lighting and lighting for special events are exempt. Lighting of the US flag is exempt. Athletic fields may be lighted. There are some minor limitations on that. Lighting for emergencies and also landscaping. Provisions regarding holiday lighting were removed. So there's no limitation, again, as long as there's no glare or impact. Lighting that is non-conforming has a must eventually conform to the requirements. And for commercial developments, there will be a lighting plan required. And so that will be part of the building permit process. A couple of other changes. We're looking at putting all the definitions in this section in the first part of the development code, which made some sense. We also know that going through the current newly modified code, that there are two different regulations with regard to lighting parking lots. We have one under 1052, and now we have this one under 1066. The Planning Commission thought about, and just to keep things consistent, so everyone plays by the same rules, so to speak, they are suggesting the requirements in 1066 will now apply for other parking lots within the city. Finally, we had a provision on festoon lighting, which are those little blinky lights that you see strung up in trees. So we had to eliminate that restriction. With regard to the findings, again, DLCD has had no issue with the language or anything that we've provided them. And this goes back, in fact, twice we sent in this information. I will just note that there is these changes will not change uses allowed on the property. These changes will not change zoning out there within the city. And the basic need for this has been something that both the council and planning commission sought to kind of reduce the impact of the nightlight. With that, again, the planning commission has looked at this on a number of times. Their last view was November 17th of last year, and they unanimously recommended the city council pass the proposed regulations that you will find in Exhibit A. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, and that ends the staff report.
Thank you very much for that, Walt. And yes, so now, does council have any questions for Mr. Wendelowski?
I do.
Go ahead, Ms. Mayor.
Okay, well, I have a couple of questions in regards to the security lighting where it says the lighting curfew. It contradicts the security lighting because it indicates that it has to be off within an hour after it closes. But yet the security lighting, the existing lighting can double as their security lighting. So I'm a little confused on that because it kind of contradicts each other.
Well, actually, the way they looked at it is that if someone wanted to keep a light on for security, that would be acceptable, provided there is no glare or light trespass. Otherwise, if no one wanted to put it on for security, they basically turned the lights off. The bigger issue had to do with, say, lights within, say, outside areas that you have for outside display or something. So it had more to do with you can have night lights for security. They are limited in nature, covers, let me see, I'm just trying to get to that section.
On page 2.
Yeah,
Number E, and it's 6 and 7.
okay. Well, I'm looking at the code here. Okay. Basically, security lighting must be fully shielded. I'm looking on page 10, which is
Oh,
Exhibit A. They have to comply with the lighting standards be directed only onto a designated area. We are noting that sensor activity will be turned off within 5 minutes of being activated. You can illuminate vertical surfaces. Fixtures may be mounted on poles. Security lights intended to illuminate the perimeter, which is basically, I would say, a storefront. Will include motion sensors, but under item F, under 7F, it says existing building lights may be used as security lights provided they comply with the provisions. And the key provision is fully shield directed only onto the designated area and not illuminate other areas. So yes, you may have security lighting, and so I don't think there would be a conflict with that. I hope that helped with your question.
Okay. So then the other question that I had is in the definitions where it said the effective date for the regulations is within 6 months after the final date.
Yes,
For the existing non-conforming lights, it appears they have a year. So that was a little confusing to me also.
okay, hold room. Compliance should just,
The first one is on page
okay.
2, the second one is on page 12.
Okay, well, what this came out to be, if you look under, again, Exhibit A, which is what is being adopted, existing non-conforming lighting, lawfully installed, operated, etc. All lighting must conform to the requirements, right, within 1 year. That was an error on my part, and I confess. And thank you. No, thank you for pointing that out. I
Nobody's
think,
perfect.
okay, I think I've seen this language so often, it's beginning to glaze over my eyes or something. That can readily be corrected to say, must be consistent with the definition. That's all.
Okay,
Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Again, my apologies.
okay, thank you.
Any other council questions for Mr. Wendelowski? We will now have public testimony in favor of the lighting ordinance. Did anybody like to speak in favor of the lighting ordinance tonight? In favor?
I would.
Mr. Davis, please.
Yes, sir. So as everybody here knows, I've been almost at every meeting for the last several years regarding this ordinance. It's been a long road. It's been a long road up and a long road down, and we've made a lot of adjustments. The planning commission gets my kudos. Walt Wendelowski gets my kudos. We are definitely in favor of this lighting ordinance as a start, not a completion to what it says. As it says in 10.66 purpose, the purpose of this lighting standards are to conserve energy to the greatest extent possible, promoting traffic and pedestrian safety, minimizing glare, light trespass, obtrusive lighting, and the most important part, light pollution and preserving the dark sky of the natural nighttime environment. This goes for all our Canadian geese that fly over and land in our school property. So with that said, I would like to remind this committee and the mayor and the police chief and Jason of the geez, I can't even remember the department, but anyway, so we've all been here. We've done it. It's time to move forward and get this thing done. It is only a start and it can be updated at any point. It is not a complete package, but it is a start. And lots of time and effort and work has gone into it. On a personal note, if you notice, I'm no longer wearing glasses as of last month. with my cataract surgery. I had my lenses replaced. I have now what's called monovision. My right eye sees far, my left eye can read. I can read this document, and smaller without any glasses. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, fellow monovision human. Mine do other things. Moving right along to public testimony against the lighting ordinance. Do we have anybody here to speak against the lighting ordinance? Hearing no responses, do we have any written testimony, online testimony?
No written correspondence.
No correspondence. Moving right along from there, a rebuttal of in favor testimony. Does anybody have something to say against Bob's presentation? No. Final staff comments. Do we have anything to wrap up with, Mr. Wendelowski?
Yes, I think, again, it's the planning commission's recommendation that this document be Exhibit A, be adopted by the council. And based on our discussion or testimony tonight, with the one modification to ensure consistency with regard to non-conforming uses.
And with that being said, I assume, knowing you as long as I have, that's probably already been updated. So as we make our motions, we can assume that error has been corrected.
Well, very simple to say as amended.
As amended.
As amended. Which shall be done tomorrow morning.
So that closes the public comment section of this hearing, and the public hearing will be closed. May I get a motion from council?
Make a motion to accept the planning commission's recommendation approving the proposed amendments as amended.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. May we have a vote, please?
I always have to start.
Yes, ma'am.
Featherston, nay.
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 Wow. And I.
Yeah.
Karen, I can tell you what.
Corrigan, aye. So we, although it passes, we will not be able to conclude this with the first reading tonight. So this will be continued over till next month's meeting, where we will have a second reading on the agenda. Okay. Did we want to have some discussion on that now?
I have not been told if all of our city buildings meet the requirements. And I have asked at previous meetings. And I don't know. So I think that it's bad for us as city council to push this on all of our businesses, and we don't even know, as the five of us, whether or not our buildings all meet that requirement. Last time I asked, I was told we don't have the reader to read these readings. So if we don't own that, how are we enforcing that? And so why are we pushing this forward on our citizens and our business owners when we struggle with businesses in our town if we don't know? If we are even to that standard.
I do understand that.
I have a question in regards to that. Is it the city's responsibility, or is it the owner of the business, their responsibility to make sure that they're in alignment with this?
But we're responsible for our buildings.
Right, right.
And that's a budgetary item, and if we only have 6 months, that's within this budget. We'd have to make sure that we're making cuts on our already tight budget to maybe make thousands of dollars of lighting changes that we don't know.
As it was explained to us last year on this, and if I misunderstand this, Walton, thank you for sticking around. Through the back and forth between the planning commission and council, the lights at the park, Public Works, as well as the one over this door here, those would all count as security lighting under that change. And I believe that's why that change went in. So that you could have some lighting on the outside that was for a security purpose to keep some illumination by the bathrooms at the park.
Yeah.
That sort of thing that wouldn't have to be adjusted for. But still provide a sense of security that wasn't on a timer. At one point, all security lights had to be timed out.
Right.
And then, for example, like at the bank parking lot where people come in and out quite often, that would be a constant on-off situation for that,
We
where
have coons in this town, they'll be setting them off all the time too.
100%. Does that make sense, Walt, about the city's lights and so forth there?
I think the other issue had to do with street lighting too, with the idea of changing street lights. And that's one of the reasons that was eliminated. And also you did point out correctly that that was under item item I7, that existing exterior lighting may be used as security lighting as long as it's shielded facing downward and doesn't create glare or light trespass. So, yeah, that basically covers it.
Did that help a bit?
Yep. I'm gonna walk around at night, look at all the buildings.
For sure.
Like-
All right, so we'll be picking this up next month. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
That vote again, I'm sorry.
What's that?
I missed the vote.
Oh,
Was
yes,
it all ayes except for the one?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
And yes, please do and let us know what you find. Because that would be good, I guess. All right, so. Moving on to our next hearing. So this will be the public hearing for the City of Yamhill Draft Ordinance 25-04. This is an ordinance amending the Yamhill Municipal Code, repealing Chapter 1.08, Council Rules, established in Ordinance 431. This meeting is now called to order. Gavel in or out of the last one. We have a staff report on this. I kind of talked to our court recorder about me doing some of this, so. Will you give us the 10,000 foot view?
Yeah, my staff report's not as fancy as well. Hold on 1 second. Not sure if that was included in the packet, and I'm gonna have to apologize for that. So, basically, when we adopted the council rules, they were adopted by ordinance in 1998. Our city charter was changed in 2012. In 2012, our city charter stated that our council rules are to be adopted by resolution. So we are repealing the council rules done by ordinance, so that we may adopt them by resolution, so we are in line with our city charter.
Thank you. That's very well put. So yeah, this is just sort of just a housekeeping, make sure that things are the way that our charter says they need to be, because that's the way they need to be. It does actually provide even some more, the council, the ability to make changes a little bit quicker and easier as well. Do we have any questions from council on this?
No.
You're kidding. Do we have, we will now open the public comment section. Does anybody have public comment on this? Bob Davis, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. council members, I'm back again. Since I wasn't able to read the staff report and digest the ordinance, I respectfully ask for you to postpone this decision until next month, until a few of us have a chance to digest and to read this change. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have any other further public comment? Seeing none, do we have anyone written or online?
I don't have any written comments. Anyone online wishing to make a comment? If you could please raise your hand by pressing *9 if you're on the phone. I see no hands raised.
Fantastic. And then for council, do we have any staff questions or questions that need to be answered for this? Seems to be a housekeeping issue to me, but with that, we will close the public comment period of this and close the hearing. And I'll ask for a motion.
Or I move to approve ordinance 0547, an ordinance by the city of Yamhill City Council amending Yamhill Municipal Code, repealing chapter 1.08 council rules established in 0431.
We have a second?
A second.
Fantastic. Can we get a vote, please?
Featherston, aye.
Kent, I.
Ask yeah.
Karen, I.
Oregon, aye. Thank you, council. Yes.
Is that a 0 or an O?
Oh, sorry, it's for ordinance, yes.
Is that, yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so we have gone through 2 public hearings fairly smoothly, I think. All right, we will be moving on shortly. So we are now at the department reports. So city administrator report, I will try to keep brief. Just actually had a chance to talk with Public Works. Chris Featherston started this out. Councilor Featherston, thank you so much for the Kelly Land Christmas decorations lead. We are receiving those to the city free of cost.
Of course we are.
Of course we are. We'll be storing them at the fire hall. Just kidding. But Public Works has offered to help go pick those things up very soon. They seem like a really neat thing, and what a nice donation from Kelly Realty. Participated in some ASAP government payment request training recently. That's feel like it was pretty interesting. Water contracts are complete and going out to legal. Those will be made available for council review. We wanted to have those done for this month. Those will be on the February. Likely. We have RFP going out for engineering. That is done also at legal. Scripts tonight for city council. When we have public hearings and so forth, we have to come up with a way to pronounce and articulate our motions. So some samples have been provided to council for the first time in a while. Please let me know how those worked out for you. And then we're working with the Economic Development Committee on a tree project, which I'm sure will be coming up a little bit later in tonight's meeting. We'll be calling it an urban forestry project. We have some grant money available through ODOT as well. Now it's possible for some capital construction funding from Representative Elmer's office. So those are kind of the things that I have for the city administrator's report. Be moving on to city staff reports with the city recorder's report.
All right, did everyone receive the paper that I included regarding the electronic records system requirements?
Yes.
Okay. So I included that. We just received that on the listserv regarding, electric, record keeping system requirement, which I don't believe our system is really, following all of those regulations. And some of the things that I'm, concerned about is that it needs to be able to log actions, events related to the documents stored within the system. And it has to have the ability to export the records and the metadata to another storage environment. And the records need to be associated with the retention schedules. It needs to save the searches for later reference and support public record requests. Have the appropriate levels of security to be applied to the records throughout their life cycle. And support the destruction of the records through the search parameters in accordance with their retention schedules. This specifically is for records that are with retention for 100 years or more, which would be permanent records. It is recommended for records that are less than 100 years. So at this point, it's not, it would be only the permanent records that we would need to have. I'm sorry, with the permanent records, we can have paper copies, but with the paper copies, we do need to have specific ways that they are stored in fire resistant, temperature and humidity controlled environments, away from insects, pests, away from sprinkler systems, that type of stuff. And so I've been putting off kind of doing the inventory of the records and getting the systems and policies in place since I started with the retention schedules undergoing an update. And I just wanted to make sure the council's aware of this happening, that these things are going to be having to be put into place. And there are costs associated with the electronic filing systems that we are going to eventually need in the city. I got an estimate previously, which I think it was a year ago, with a 6,000 to 9,000 startup, and then it was 3,500 a year after for that type of a system that met all of those requirements. That's not the only option there is. I'm sure there's other ones. I still have a lot of work to do. But I just wanted to make sure that was in the back of everybody's mind, that that's something that's gonna be happening or need to happen, or we're gonna be looking at in the future. Let's see, regarding the Parks Master Plan, I helped Kirsty with AKS regarding the survey for that. I think we got a good response. I think there was 91 responses on that online survey, which is more than we usually have when we do town halls. So there is a meeting on January 21st, a week from today, to go over the responses and get a plan put together before presenting to council. And I can't remember if that was going to be February or March. So you guys will be seeing something soon regarding the Parks Master Plan. And then budget is coming up. So I have started a budget committee recruitment, and we are looking for one budget committee member that to make it a full budget committee. So if everybody that is interested in volunteering, have them fill out an application or contact me at City Hall. And then another thing I wanted to add, Chief Graven is going on his 29th year of employment history with the city of Yamhill
On the
on
27th.
January 27th. Right? Which I think is outstanding, and I just wanted to recognize him for his dedication to the service to Yamhill. And that's it for my report.
That's
Thank
29
you.
years full-time,
34 and
34 total.
49.
Yeah.
You started as a 10. Thank you.
Retention schedules?
Timeframe. 100 years?
For permanent records, there's permanent records.
Right. The logic for 100 year, do you have any idea what that is? I mean, the reason for 100 years?
It's
go back and
historical,
look at
so
it.
it would be council records,
Oh, so.
What
that-
ordinances,
Okay.
resolutions.
All right, moving right along. We have 100-year-old documents in the back. If anybody would like to see them just after the meeting, I'll be happy to show you the box.
I want to read them.
All right, they're actually pretty cool, some of them. All right, so we're moving along to finance manager's report. We'll start with the financials.
In regard to the financials that you guys have, I don't see anything that's standing out that is to be concerned about at this point in time. Straight across the board, we're seeing that payroll expenses are a little bit higher than what we had estimated and or budgeted for. Some of that can't always be accounted for based off of fluctuation in PERS rates and taxes and things like that. So we may have to do a supplemental budget right before the end of the year to adjust for a handful of those. We'll see where we're coming in. And then specifically in the water fund, Jason's had quite a few projects that have come in way under budget, which is absolutely fantastic. As a matter of fact, he's thinking that he's gonna be able to get a 2-for-1 done on this next project. So that is super exciting from a numerical standpoint.
Good
My
job.
apologies.
Yes, it's fantastic. They are also actually taking over the finishing a project up, so that's gonna save us money as well. We did get the audit back for the city, and as expected, the general fund was in the hole. We got it back in November. I did find several errors that needed to be corrected, so I sent it back, and then we got it back towards the end of December. The general fund and the streets fund are both starting out in the negative. The streets, because the truck that was purchased for Jason 2 years ago was only taken out of the water fund, and it needs to be spread out over 3 funds, water, sewer, and streets. So the budgeted money that was in streets, there was not extra allocation for that. And the general fund didn't hit 300,000 like we were expecting. It's just over 2. The good news on that, if you can take good news, is that I'm looking at forecasting right now, and based off of the decisions that the budget committee made last year, some of the difficult decisions that were made, and including some circumstantial situations from the corporal position to a police officer position to a final installment of the planning grant coming in July instead of June from last year. We're looking at, we're gonna start the general fund next year, if everything goes according to plan, somewhere between $25,000 and $40,000 positive. So not only did we make up that $200,000 deficit, we're gonna have money on top of it to start with.
Good.
So, with that being said, because of the deficit specifically in the general fund, the auditors sent a letter out that said, these are and they phrase it as significant deficiencies. These are, and ironically, significant deficiencies are the least.
Are we getting into the letter from the audit?
Yes.
So before we do that, if you don't mind, we'll just announce resolution 2026-846 is a resolution authorizing acceptance of a plan of action for the Secretary of State regarding the 2024-25 fiscal budget year or year audit, and we ask for the staff report.
So the letter that the auditors sent to us and to the state signify what the significant deficiencies were in the budget, with the leading one being the deficiency in the general fund. It is recommended You don't have to, but it's strongly recommended that you then respond to the Secretary of State with a plan of action. The plan of action explains what the deficiency is, what you're gonna do about it, and what your time frame is. The resolution that you will be reviewing is the plan of action that I've written up to send to the Secretary of State. The good news is like I said, I mean, we've pretty much corrected course on just about everything. There were two things in that, the resolution that we adopted the budget with last year needs to be changed next year. And we need to add in line items for capital outlay in stormwater and stormwater SDC funds, because you can't just have contingency. There actually has to be, even if there isn't a project, there has to be something that you could spend the money on. There has to be a byline for that. So those were two of the four. And then, like I said, streets is gonna be easily fixed, and we've already made up the deficit according to what I'm seeing in the general fund.
Fantastic. Do we have any council questions? No council questions for staff, comments? So the discussion being on this was whether or not we would want to approve the resolution to send that letter to the Secretary of State's office. It seems, again, housekeeping to me.
So actually, I do have a question.
Yeah.
So like, what if you don't send the letter? Just out of
I'm
curiosity.
gonna be perfectly honest with you. I don't know what the repercussions are, but I'm going to
It may be-
guess that they probably take a very close look at you and or receive a fine of some sort.
Okay,
You're under a magnifying glass at that point.
Right. If you,
and then if your plan fails, it'd probably be even worse if you didn't tell them about it.
Right.
prior to-
right,
Yeah, okay.
But most of these things were previously identified and we've made those adjustments
Correct.
with
Correct.
decisions that we've handled in the last year, so.
correct. So if you read the plan of action, you'll notice that in it, for example, in the deficit to the general fund, I made note that the changes occurring began during the last budgetary process. So we recognized it and we switched course to make sure that the damage from that would be to the least amount. Like I said, I can't full on predict what happens from now until June, but if we stay the course the way that we are at this moment in time, we should end up with a positive beginning balance somewhere between 25 and 40-ish thousand dollars.
Which is much better than the 204,000 last year that we were looking at for a moment.
Yes,
Yes,
negative 200.
negative, yes.
Do we use the same, did we change up?
We did not, however, the auditors that we had been using for, I'm not sure exactly how long, they were absorbed 2 years ago by Red W.
Okay,
So we actually still have the same auditors that we've had for years and years, but it's a different company.
okay.
Do we have any other council questions or council discussion? Hearing none, can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve R 2026-846, a resolution authorizing acceptance of a plan of action for the Secretary of State regarding the 2024-25 fiscal year audit.
We have a second
I second the motion.
and a vote, please.
Featherston, I.
Chind, I.
Askey, aye.
Aaron, I.
Corrigan, aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you, Finance Manager. With the staff that is presenting the reports, I do apologize for the hearings and the length of time of this meeting. We normally like to get you out earlier. Please know that sometimes I forget to excuse. So as you've completed your reports, as you would like to leave, you are welcome to do so, or you're welcome to stay. Moving on to our next would be the police reports.
Thank you, Mayor. The packet includes the information as far as the staff reports and the statistical analysis for last month. Does anyone have any questions about the information?
The only thing that caught my eye was that, it was noted that you guys were working FTEP field training with McMullen, but for his hours, it shows 0. So I would think if you guys were training him, that he would have been here, put in some hours.
He is,
So-
so I don't want to guess what those hours are and.
But he just didn't
um,
report any to you.
Yes,
Oh.
it's tracked a certain way, but he's unable to do that right now until we get IT involved, with computer stuff, which is a whole nother conversation. So he's not able to track them. So they're being tracked, but they're not definitively a number that I have. So when that does happen, because there's a requirement as a reserve for the 16 hours volunteer minimum.
Yeah,
So
so,
that's being met, if that's what you're.
well, like if we go back and we're looking back at the, your reports, it's like he had 0, 0, 0, 0, but he really didn't, right? So,
Yeah, so that will be updated when I have the accurate information. I was working on that just recently with him, so.
Good.
But it's a IT thing.
it'll be good to get him going.
Yeah. So yeah, been doing the FTEP, which is the Field Training Evaluation Program with the Officer McMullen as well as now Officer Livingston, because he, even though has been through it, that is a process that he's going to be going through currently again. So Amy, so I'll be able to get them both up to speed and I'll kind of be able to do those processes at the same time with both of them. And that it's lengthy for that field training evaluation program, and it's a requirement by DPSST. So been working on that, and Officer Livingston will be starting the full-time academy in March.
Fantastic. Thank you for helping with that. Thank you for getting everything back on track, and thank you for all those years.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Amazing. Did you have anything else? All right. Then we've been moving along to Public Works.
Yeah, so you guys saw what I presented in the packet. There's a few things I'd like to add to that. Right now, Public Works is going through a major asset management. We've been looking at our infrastructure, and a lot of times we're just working within guesswork. As far as parts, materials, things of that nature, and the cost of the city bringing in contractors on a reactatory magnitude is kind of caught up with us. So what we're doing right now is we're doing an overall asset of all of our civil infrastructure that's under our ground right now and at our water plant. So that kind of coincides with, I'll use filters for examples. Filter A uses pump B, pump C, pump D. So now we're just starting to like put that into our system so that if an individual goes to say, hey, I had pump failure at pump A on filter 1, that we'll know what contractor, what was the CPI index the year before on the actual product, what manufacturer, what number, so on and so forth. That way our reactatory system, as far as Public Works is concerned, will be executed properly and accordingly, and there won't be correspondence going out to 3 to 4 to 5 different contractors or parts. So it just kind of hones in just so that we are up and running a lot quicker. It's a process. It was never built in-house, so it's kind of just going from groundwork up. So it is long, lengthy, and it's eating up a lot of our time. But I think in the long run, the city's going to benefit from it, 15, 20 years from now, to pass on that knowledge. And working with our water treatment plant operator / wastewater treatment plant operator is built into all the processes that we are doing, even if it's shutting a pump off, turning a pump on, and how all of that is being relayed to utility 1s, utility 2s, even at the state level, so that those individuals know in an emergency, this is the process, and those processes will be labeled where and presented, and be able to just go online and grab hold of it through that asset management process. So that's what we're doing right now. I know everybody was dealing with those, the winds, the rains, and they hit us rather hard. I mean, you guys see the 2 million gallons, and I will say it fluctuated with our TSSs, which is our total suspended solids in the lagoons. I mean, we navigated the waters, but it was a lot of heavy loading on those lagoons. But, you know, everything from Alexa, the lab came back good, but it was, thankfully, we had the new disinfection building on, so we had longer running times, which cut back on staff hours. And yeah, so there's just a lot of moving parts out there with what we're doing as far as the civil side and the infrastructure, and just trying to really get a step ahead of where we were just a year ago. And yeah, so with all that said, those are the big ones. We've closed out some projects, the disinfection being one, like I just mentioned, Ellie's Garden being two. Those are both, you know, wastewater issues that we had in the past. And we've done a lot of I&I repair, which is inflow and infiltration. And right now we're actually looking at upgrading our SCADA system at the wastewater treatment plant through our telemetry team. And that will give us better reactory time as far as alarming systems, being able to see off-site what's going on at the wastewater lagoons, out in the field in the collection system. So those are all big pluses, and that even came with cost savings with the disinfection building. So it's an overall huge upgrade to that system. And that's all I have for that. If there's any questions in regards to what I wrote down, just let me know. And then the final piece of all this is the request to take some action up at the park. I'm just asking that you guys allow Public Works staff and myself to shut the park bathrooms down. We have a 10,000 gallon leak monthly. And due to the saturation at the park, the leak detection can't pick up where that leak is. So for $275, we're able to put up a disability handicap bathroom up there with a cleaning per week that allow us to at least nullify the loss of water right now and just overall house cleaning for the parks in general. So.
And then that would be removed as soon as the weather improves, you can find the leak and we go back to standard operating procedure.
Sure.
And you wanted a motion and a vote on that, I think.
Please.
Can we get a motion? Or do we have council discussions that we want to do first? We can do it after the motion.
Seems reasonable.
I was just trying to think if we were gonna have any events at the park. The only thing would be, I think the first one would be Easter egg,
Correct.
and then after that, spring, and you'd be able to start finding your leak.
Yeah.
Right, so, yeah.
And we could go back online for that day, Easter, I would think, yes.
We should be back online by Easter.
But even if not, I mean, the bathrooms are functioning currently, they're just leaking a lot.
Correct.
Hopefully the clean water.
Hopefully it's clean.
Yeah, I would love a motion.
I make a motion that we turn off the park restrooms and get the porta potty until the weather gets better and Public Works can determine the source of the leak.
Second,
I second the motion.
can I have a vote, please?
Kindai.
Featherston, I.
That's good. Aaron, I.
Corrigan, aye. All right, so you get your
Thank you.
bathroom. Yeah. And you, staff's welcome.
Good
to-
air fresheners, please. Good air
So
fresheners.
yes, get some air fresheners. Staff's welcome to head out anytime that they like. Thank you very much, everybody, for the reports. Or please stay too. So committee reports, moving along to the planning commission. Angie Fowler for the planning commission.
Planning Commission, denied a variance for
One down here.
yeah, on Olive.
South Olive.
On South Olive, that's all they did last month. And the appeal period is over on that, so council will not hear any appeals. And this month, we were gonna do an oath of office, but I think it's just, they will be doing their vote on their chair. So nothing to be heard in front of them this month. That's it for planning.
For planning,
Yeah.
thank you. And you're up again for Economic Development Committee. You're in charge of a
You wanna
lot.
do that You can do that one.
Yeah, so at the Economic Development Committee this month, we had a PowerPoint, which I wish we would have put on to tonight's agenda. It was actually kind of cool. It was street trees for the city of Yamhill. So it was pictures of the streets as they stand and then AI assisted with what it would look like with trees, and it was pretty cool. So that is coming soon. Again, I think I spoke earlier about there's some grant money that's possibly going to take care of some of that. And then there's been with Bob and Jenny have been putting together and working with an agency whose name is eluding me, an inventory of historic buildings.
State of Oregon.
SHPO is who it was, yep. So we're looking at that and then potentially delineating an area for a historic district for downtown Yamhill to move forward. And I think that, Bob, that about covers. Fantastic. All that to say, I'm not gonna subject you to a mayor's report because, you know, I gave you the city administrator report. And it seems like that's becoming one job. Council reports list nothing, however, in a surprise turn, Councilor Askey has, we found a beaver.
Talking about it?
Yeah. So I've got it slated for a vote as well. So before Councilor gets into his report, there was a video of a beaver that he
Yeah,
had sent
she
me.
said I asked if we could put it up.
Do we have it?
It's
We were
not
having some
working.
difficulty with that.
But Angie said we could put it on the website or something. It's not a great video though.
It's not great, but it shows a beaver swimming. And I want everybody to know that Councilor Askey has requested that we name it Jeff.
Where's that? In the
North Yamhill Road?
Nature Trail.
Really?
I stopped there like, it's probably like a month ago and, cause I was just curious how high the creek was right after all the rain. And I got out of the car and was like walking along it, trying not to like lose my shoes in the mud. And I saw what I thought was like a chocolate lab in the creek. I was like, oh my gosh, it's someone's dog. And then it got closer to me and I realized it was a beaver and it was going up the creek. And I followed it for quite a while and it actually I lost it when it went under the highway. So went into town, I think, I don't know. I haven't seen him since though. I haven't been there because it's so muddy. I ruined my shoes.
It's so funny.
But in the video, like that was like right after the rain and there was already 2 trees that were like way chewed up. Cause that's what I saw first. And I was like, oh, that looks like a beaver, but I've never seen one in real life, like what they do. So.
Well, you know what they'll do.
I was surprised.
Well, I feel like we should embrace Jeff right up until it's time not to.
Damn it.
Yeah. Well, but there's already a lot of stuff knocked over in that creek, so it was probably like attractive.
Having dealt with them, they can become an issue. So
It
Yeah.
can become an issue.
I've heard of that.
Yes, big time.
And understanding that they could become an issue and because it was proposed
Pretty
that
lonely too.
his name is Jeff. Maybe we could have just a ceremonial vote on whether or not we'd like to name this beaver Jeff and we get a motion.
I make a motion to name the Yamhill Nature Trail Beaver Jeff.
Does anybody want to second that? If not, I will.
Do we need a more gender neutral name or do we just go with it?
We've actually looked into this with legal and this is a pronoun neutral.
It's
beaver.
pronoun neutral beaver?
So we are good with Jeff. It can go either way.
I'll second it.
Fantastic. We have a vote.
Oh, Featherston, aye.
Can I?
Yes, yeah.
Corrigan and I, our beaver's name is Jeff. Pronouns.
Can I nominate
non-existent.
Tim to evict it when it starts becoming a problem?
I'll go check on it at some point this week. I'll try to. I'll find some.
We'll need regular updates to make make sure Jeff's on
I'll
his
try to
best
get
behavior.
better. We need a trail cam or something.
I think so. All right, so that is great. We have
That it?
Jeff the beaver. No, we're getting there.
Oh my gosh, there's so much more.
There's so much more, but we're doing very well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Half a page left.
anybody else with the council report? I did not see any turned in.
No.
Moving on to new business. So this brings us to resolution 2026-846. So resolution adopting council rules of procedure for meetings, proceedings, and business.
Why did we do the beaver before this?
Because that's the order that it comes in, council reports.
Are we ready?
Yes, so Angie, can you, or our city recorder, can we have a staff report? Or do we speak to it to some extent?
Staff report.
Okay, so just the basic, on this resolution is to help me out a little bit.
I included the council rules with the resolution as Exhibit A. These were presented to the council in a previous meeting. No changes have been made since that meeting. That resolution would adopt those rules, and so we are now in line with our city charter. Ready?
Yes, need a motion.
This one. I move to approve R 206-846, a resolution adopting council rules of procedure for meetings, proceedings, and business.
Second.
We get a vote.
Kend I.
Featherston, aye.
Yeah, Karen, I.
Fantastic, it passes. All right. Something there. Okay,
Were you abstaining?
what's that?
Were you abstaining?
I was not Corgan, did I not say? So we're moving on now to the non-exempt status for the chief of police. Some time ago during an interim city administrator, not myself, the chief was working overtime and no longer allowed to collect in overtime. Our police chief is different than most in that he patrols regularly and spends time on the road and is in charge of evidence and all sorts of other things most police chiefs do not do. And I think that this is something that needs to be re-examined. Does council have any questions?
Are the other police chiefs of similar size departments exempt or non-exempt?
I haven't done a study recently, but back when this was all a conversation, there was documentation regarding that, and the majority of them of comparable, even larger size are not exempt because they're still considered first responders initially as their primary job function.
And I guess sort of the purpose of that is if he says it was 38 hours doing admin work and then there was a call and he was gone for 5 hours, he's gonna be on that call.
Right. And are you collecting comp time then, that you can use?
Yes, we do have a camp of 90 hours and historically, the few years I've been here, that's always been at a cap, so it's not like I can exceed that. And historically, looking back, the overtime budget for the police department is, different word, is challenging.
Yeah.
So I've hardly ever used the police overtime budget because I save that for the police department. However, the main challenge has been, and even more so facilitated by the grants that we receive. And there's a requirement for us to use the hours of those grants, and I am not eligible to be exempt to use those. And with the current status, as well as an officer that will be going through the academy, if we don't use that money, we lose it. And we've had those grants that are federal grants for quite a while.
And you don't
we
get
can
them.
lose those.
So you don't get them next year either,
Correct.
so. yeah.
So that's the main facilitator. It's not going to affect the overtime because I don't use it. It's not going to affect hours and hours of comp time because we're capped. It's just the focus would be to be able to use that grant time.
Are you
But I-
using your comp time?
I'm sorry,
Do you use your comp time?
Right now, he doesn't need to, right?
to a certain extent. No, I don't. Like, we have a new ordinance now that I'm allowed to let someone else use it, so I've done that, just to get it. used.
Right,
I
right.
don't,
I remember that.
yeah.
So is there gonna be an authorization ahead of time for the overtime and X amount of hours per month, or is it per week, or how is that gonna work?
There can't be, and there are policies, that the police department has specifically as well as for the city, but ours are a little more, different language due to the simple fact that if there's an officer that's out and they're working and they're on a call, they're not gonna be calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning to request authorization for overtime, if that makes sense. It's reviewed and overseen, through the police department. But there's no one in the police department at 2 o'clock in the morning to call to get the
Right.
authorization for it.
But as far as if you're allowed to do overtime, I guess is what I'm looking for, is there? I'm trying to figure out how to say this so that it doesn't sound ridiculous.
Well, to answer it, Patty, it's status quo, because the hours that I do are the hours that I do. I do not collect overtime when I'm doing evidence tech work. I don't collect overtime when I'm doing the records request type work. And the only time that normally is as well recently is because shift coverage. That is important to me,
Right.
and that's a choice. And the occasional where there's a call out or which are more happening more frequently, and or the times when I'm on a call and I'm working. So that won't be status, that will be status quo. That won't change. It's like, oh, now will I get overtime because I'm already capped at the 90 hours. So it's not like a motivational incentive for me financially. And it's not going to affect the budget of the city. It's primarily, not just primarily, but the main focus is the simple fact that the grants that are out there, will lose them.
Right.
We have any more discussion or council questions?
No.
Can we get a motion?
I move to restore the police chief position to non-exempt status effective immediately.
We have a second. Oh, sorry.
I second the motion.
Fantastic. We have a vote, please.
Featherston, aye.
Kind,
SKI.
Her and I.
Corrigan, aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you. So this is an interesting one. Moving along to Recology. We have a very odd contract, one of very few that Recology has seen that has a sunset clause in our agreement with them. I found out about that this week.
What?
Our contract that we renew annually with Recology
Yeah.
has a sunset clause, so it expired this week.
Oh, I thought you.
We still have garbage collection. However, without, they've extended it this week. What they've asked for is a 6-month extension of the contract that we're currently under. A beautiful thing that's happening is our friends in the great city of McMinnville are spending money with their lawyers to update their Recology contract, which is going to be sort of the roadmap for most cities coming up. And it's just some terminology changes that make it a little more timeless. So as things change in Salem, our contracts don't necessarily have to. Of course, that will be reviewed with our legal when that comes to pass. But the heavy lifting can be done by the city of McMinnville, which sounds like a budgetary savings to me. What they're asking for is a 6-month emergency extension of their current franchise agreement. Changes 0 things except garbage gets picked up. And with that, do we have any council discussion? Can we get a motion?
I move to approve the Recology Western Oregon franchise emergency 6-month franchise agreement extension.
I second.
And a vote, please.
Featherston, aye.
Kind,
SEI.
Her and I.
Corrigan, aye. And now we move on to nomination selection for council president for 2026. There is in our two different places, one in our charter and one outside of our charter, where it says different things about our council president. I believe the charter says that annually in January, we choose a council president. Elsewhere, it's every odd year. That will be updated.
We just repealed that.
We just repealed that, so that is updated. That's fantastic. All that to say, we have Tim Askey has been our council president for the last year. Was there anybody that would like to throw their hat into that ring? Nobody. And with that said, can we get a nomination for Mr. Askey?
I nominate Mr. Askey.
Fantastic.
Second.
And a vote, please.
Featherston, I.
Kindai.
Yeah, absolutely you should. What if you?
Karen, aye.
And Corrigan, aye. So thank you, Councilor Askey, for another year of service. Yay. And,
On vacation,
what's that?
just don't go on vacation.
Yeah, right? I will be actually in Hawaii, so there will be.
Yeah,
A
is
few
that an
weeks.
annual thing? Didn't that happen last year?
No, I haven't been to Hawaii in 20 years. That
Okay.
was camping,
Oh,
which is
that's
much
right.
different. As it turns out, it rains a lot when I go camping. We have information and announcements. A reminder for city council to ensure that they have completed their OGEC public meetings training with their, within their term.
How do we find that out?
So whether you have or haven't,
Yeah.
you just have gone to the meeting. So Councilor Perrin and I both took ours. I took mine at the LOC convention. You took yours in
Sherwood.
Sherwood. It has to be just during your term. I believe that can be done online as well.
Yeah, that's, I thought I did, but I'm barely-
So an interesting thing with OGEC, they told us when we were taking our class now, I took the class finishing up as a counselor in Carlton and I got a little piece of paper. Taking my class again as mayor at the LOC convention, they said they no longer hand out the pieces of paper and encourage us all to take a picture of the screen while
That's
we
what
were
I
taking
did.
the class.
That's
And
exactly
if they
what
come
I
back to ask us whether we have to have that screenshot. I find that, cost saving for them. But concerning, so if you have not done that, let me know. I can research for you if you'd like, where we can get those
I'll
classes
just do
taken.
it online again.
It's in our binders that
I
we
can
got.
forward you the link to their website, which has.
Okay. No,
Hopefully a printable,
Yeah.
something to show that you've gone to the class other than a screenshot. Please complete all of your volunteer hours for 2025 by the 31st of January. I hope we all do that. I'm halfway done with mine. Yes, and we'll file them away.
May I include something there?
Yes,
While you're
please.
on all of that. There are a lot of sharp objects here, so I apologize, but make sure that we do our cybersecurity Alexa.net training also.
I did some
I'm
the
just-
other day.
There's
I'm
so much.
I'm not
It
pointing
was
fingers.
really exciting.
Oh, it's riveting.
Ooh,
Let's
cybersecurity.
all make sure that we do that because that one helps with our security score, which also helps with issues that we potentially can avoid.
Heard. Yes, I may be lacking in my cybersecurity training. Severely.
Have you signed up for it at least?
We'll talk after the meeting.
And in regards to that, you all know that this has to be done every year and it's ongoing.
Oh yeah, I have to do it in my workplace too. And
Me
then I
too.
take basically the same thing, just with a different company here. And I don't use the city's computers except for right here in this meeting, but it's okay.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'll log in and take the classes.
But no, I found out that it's weekly
Weekly.
test.
There's weekly
There's weekly testing.
tests.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like a class you have to attend.
I sat and did a couple short.
And you can just do the test part, and not worry about the other part.
I
Oh,
did
no.
that.
Pass with 80%, you're good.
They're very entertaining.
Yeah.
It is like
I'm an
B-rated
overachiever, so
movies.
I missed once, I go back and get 100%, and then I did it with the other stuff, and you don't get to retake them.
There was a couple I skipped.
Jeff,
like,
can you
like,
repeat?
maybe
So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk with Alexinet and see if we can find some shortcuts and tips and tricks of the trade, and we can do a little thing to make sure
Off
that
the record,
everybody's
just talk
time
to me and
minimalized on that, but we still get all the best cybersecurity that we can. With that, I have nothing else. Does anybody else have anything else? We had a motion?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We are adjourned.
How did you last so long? Were you thinking about so many things?
Well, look, she had bet that it was 8:15.
What happened with Kelly?